Welcome back to you. We are working to make sure Las Vegas is informed. These are very uncertain times and information is rapidly changing.
Man, the last 24 hours,
boy.
things have just been a whirlwind of cancellations and postponements. And really a big concern tonight, of course, in Las Vegas is our city relies so heavily on tourism and on gaming, and the layoffs and the losses are really starting to kind of pile up here. So with us tonight, Steve Hill, who is the CEO of the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority, along with Jeremy Aguero, who is an economist with applied analysis. Two great minds in our community. So thank you, gentlemen, both for coming in tonight. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
So, Steve, I'll start with you. I mean, 24 hours ago, we never would have anticipated we'd be talking about virtually every sport canceling events and whatnot. You said you're just surprised, but not really surprised.
Well, the situation is changing rapidly.
Right,
if you'd asked me this a week ago, I would have been very surprised. But, you know, over the last couple of days, you could see that those organizations were going to need to take the steps that they felt were necessary. And so it was somewhat anticipated, but the extent and the concentration of those announcements was shocking, frankly.
Yeah.
Jeremy, you have an analytical approach, a historian as well. How important is it for us to trust the numbers when you look at the survivability rate outside of Wuhan, China being 99.3, worldwide still being under 4%? How important is it for us to crunch the numbers and rely on those facts over fear?
Look, I think relying on facts is critically important, right? I mean, there's been so much reaction to the speculation, right? We're filling void with fear and concern, right? Now we're getting more information, and my guess is, just like Steve just said, we're going to have a lot more information a week from now than we have today. So I think getting that information and making sure that we're thinking about it, processing it the right way is critically important to making the decisions that need to be made.
They're criticizing a lot of large gatherings, right? We saw Coachella get canceled, also Stagecoach gets canceled. But then today the EDC said, we're going to go ahead and move forward. They bring about 300,000 people here over 3 days. It's not until May, so we've got some time. Steve, were you surprised by that, or is that a wise decision to go ahead and bring so many people here under one roof for a long weekend?
Well, you know, the governor has said, I've repeated this, that we need to be make our decisions based on facts and not fear.
Right.
The health district here in Southern Nevada has done a fabulous job, and they are who determine what the facts are. They continue to say that we are a low-risk community, and we're following their direction. So those are the facts, and it is still a safe place for people to be. You know, the health and safety for our resort partners at the LVCVA is of the highest importance, and we're not addressing that just with effort, but also with science. We're learning how to clean surfaces the right way, and different surfaces differently. So we are prepared for those groups, but we'll follow the health districts and the governor's office as they determine the facts as we move forward.
Gentlemen, let's take a listen to Governor Sisolak talking about testing kits and some of his frustration with the lack of testing that's happening in Southern Nevada.
What is the status of the test from the CDC, the request from Southern Nevada for 20,000 tests?
We are working with the federal delegation. I've talked to the Vice President's task force. We are frustrated that we are not receiving more tests in a prompt manner. We continue to stay on top of that.
Is there a timeline at all?
As quick as possible.
With over 40 million people here every year, are you surprised that we are not a hotspot, that our numbers are so significantly low? And how much do you believe logically is connected to the lack of testing that he talks about his frustration regarding?
I mean, I think the governor set the right tone since the first time he started talking about it, right? You know, it's about preparation, not panic. But until we have the information, just like the question you were asking, how do we move forward with that, right? We know that the lack of testing kits has been a problem for us. We know that there's going to be an increase in positive results. Is the fact that we're going to be testing more people. That's not something that's specific to Las Vegas or Nevada. That's something that's going on all over the United States. I think many people in our community share the same concern that the governor has relative to needing to be able to make those tests so that we can make decisions and move on.
So with that, we were seeing buffets closing up and down the Las Vegas Strip, Mandalay Bay closing some restaurants, the Wynn closing its nightclubs. Any place where you have large gatherings of people, those are being closely monitored, maybe closed for 2 weeks, maybe closed for 30 days. What about the economic impact? All those hourly wage workers that work up and down the Las Vegas Strip. What would you like to see for those folks as we try to get over this hump here?
Well, you know, there's a broad range of possible time frames for an outcome here, and I think the most widely held assumption is that when Las Vegas gets hotter, and we're fortunate that we live now in a very warm community often, that as temperatures reach the 80s, that is a tough environment for other viruses to live in. And we expect that will be the same for this virus as well. So we're looking at, you know, sometime early in May when temperatures start to get into the 80s, 6-7 weeks from now. So we're hoping that we can bridge that with our employees for that period of time, and then things recover. Now, we don't know that's going to be the case, and I know everybody in the resort industry is planning for a broad range of contingencies, but that's really, I think, what most would say they expect.
If that is the case, we will never complain about the heat again. Is that correct?
No, bring on the heat.
Let's bring in the president. President Trump speaking yesterday on his new month-long travel ban that bars anyone from traveling to the U.S. from Europe except for UK and Ireland. Let's take a listen.
This is the most aggressive and comprehensive effort to confront a foreign virus in modern history. I am confident that by counting and continuing to take these tough measures, we will significantly reduce the threat to our citizens.
Steve, specifically, how does that possibly potentially impact tourism?
Well, we enjoy about 1.5 million visitors a year from Europe, of the 42 million, 43 million people that we welcome to Las Vegas every year. So they're an important part of our customer base. We've got a great relationship with our customers in Europe, the airlines in Europe. So it adds to the impact. But we're in a situation where tourism is going to be affected in any number of ways. There are not travel bans currently in the United States. It's still safe to travel here, and we'll just have to deal with the decisions that need to be made along the way to protect the health and safety of our community.
You know, we've been watching our 401ks just tank over the last couple of weeks. Don't look. We've moved out of the bull market to a bear market. So, Jeremy, I mean, some people are saying we're not in a recession, but we feel like we are in a recession already. How quickly will it take Las Vegas, a vibrant city like us, to kind of bounce back from all this?
Yeah, I wish I could tell you.
That's $1 million question,
look,
right?
I get the question all the time. I wish I could tell you exactly when we're going to bounce back. But what I can tell you is that we will.
We will. Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
I mean, what this community has proven is that it is resilient and resourceful in all kinds of different ways, and that we've faced crises before, and that we've made our way to the other side. Yes, I do expect that it's probably going to get worse before it gets better, but it will get better, including for your 401k.
And we always bounce back, not only Nevada, but as a country. Look at from the stock market crash of 1929 to 9/11. You look at the stock market, it always returns. Hey, maybe a good buying opportunity right now. It will be back. One of the things we've been talking a lot about here as we plan for the NFL draft.
Right.
And the situation is really unknown. It's in late April. 60,000 people expected to watch what is really an incredible stage and setup. What do you foresee for the NFL draft? What has to happen for it to go on as planned? Either.
Well, you know, the NFL is still committed to making this work if it's possible to make it work. It is 6 weeks, 7 weeks away still. And so they're moving forward, but you know, the situation is probably going to have to improve for the NFL to be able to move forward with the draft. Now, as we've all said, the facts change on a daily basis, so it's a little premature to be thinking about whether that happens or not. But events between now and sometime in May, I think, are rightfully questionable, and that's just the way it is.
And we should say it's not
Yeah,
60,000,
I
it's more than
misspoke.
500,000 people.
Listen, it's a Vegas party, 600,000, not
Yeah.
60. I got to add a zero there.
It's almost like preparing for a New Year's Eve, but for 3 or 4 days. So you're right. We have to. Things are changing so swiftly. We'll keep an eye on it. But a lot of people are wondering, with so many other sporting events canceled, is there some pressure on the NFL to say, well, maybe we should? So our fingers crossed that turns out for everybody, because it's a
Absolutely.
huge economic boost for everyone in Las Vegas.
Yeah, it would be a great, not only an economic boost, but an emotional boost in this
Sure,
time,
right?
too.
Yeah, there's something psychological about getting back together and celebrating and feeling good about it.
Hopefully,
And we will get there
We will
for
get
some
there,
event
yeah.
at some point.
better days ahead. The
Yes.
social distancing thing could really work. It did in South Korea, and hopefully we get on the other side of this sooner than later.
Yeah. So Jeremy Aguero and Steve Hill, thank you so much both for coming in. We appreciate it.
Thank you.